Good evening. No, actually afternoon. I've got a bit of a cold, so excuse the bunged up kind of sound I'm making. Today I'd like to, well, I think we're all aware, or people that watch my videos are aware that I get quite a lot of mental blocks. And I'd like to try and explain what I mean by a mental block and how I believe it works, kind of thing, what actually happens when I get a mental block. Thing is, I need the aid of diagrams that I've drawn because it's quite complicated, and if I was to just say it, if I was just to verbally say it, then it would be quite confusing, I can imagine. It confuses myself really, so that's saying something. One moment. Right, to start off with, right. Excuse my drawing skills, they're not the best, I must say. The first diagram I have here, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, is how I visualise thought paths within the head. And see, they'd all be different colours, all of them would be different colours. And so that's one thought path, that's another one, that's another one. And they're divided by barriers, these darker bits here. I'll go into it more in detail in a minute, the barriers and stuff. So somebody that thinks normally, or whatever normal is, no such thing, but people that can stay focused on their thoughts, that's generally what I believe it looks like, each thought. And you can enter a different thought path by telling yourself that you need to enter a different one and removing the barrier. The complication comes this is when I get mental blocks, the next diagram. Okay, I don't want to confuse people, but this is how I see it, so if you're confused then feel free to ask me questions or send me an email or something. Okay, so this is the main thought path that I'm travelling up, or I want to travel up. Notice that it's called mental block, this one, because this is how I see it, mental block. Okay, so that's the main thought path, and then we've got different thought paths coming off here with the barriers, the dark bits there. See that? Okay, the complication comes when I'm travelling up a thought path and one of the barriers is down, that divides the thought paths. And one of the barriers is down, so I involuntarily start going up a different thought path. And if you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see, so I start going up, which makes me unfocused. A temporary barrier comes down once I'm in the different thought path. So what I need to do is I need to come back down and get rid of that, and it's a lot of hard work to get rid of the temporary barrier. So that is what a mental block to me is like. Travel up the thought path that I want to be on, lose track of what's going on, go up a different thought path, and that automatically a temporary barrier comes down, which is hard to get out of. And that's what a mental block feels like, and that's what it looks like in my head. And even more complicated, or even more crazier, is if I'm manic, I can never connect thoughts. So I've got the manic mind. I can never connect thoughts, they're always racing, and the reason they're racing is because I don't have one thought path that I'm focused on. All the barriers are down, and so I'm travelling in all directions, around and around, don't know what I'm thinking, racing mind, no barriers to be seen. Now that's quite frustrating, that's very frustrating, because you've got a hell of a lot of thoughts, and I believe that you have a hell of a lot of thoughts in your mind. Not necessarily when you're manic. I mean, a person that can stay focused on their thoughts have a hell of a lot. And that's what I believe a normal one looks like. Well, a focused mind looks like. So it is quite frustrating. Mental blocks are quite frustrating. And I do get them quite a lot. As I think I've already said in videos before. And I can't speak too loudly because my parents are downstairs. But since I've taken drugs I get it badly, and It's frustrating, and I hope that's made sense to people. It probably, well, it might not have, and it might be a little bit confusing. I'm not very good at explaining things very well, and I thought maybe diagrams would help with that. Not the greatest artist, as you can tell, but I think it got the message across as to how I interpret thought processes and thought paths. The mind's a very strange thing. I mean, mine is anyway. No, it's not. I'm quite normal, really. So yeah, Happy New Year, by the way. It is New Year at the minute. Well, today it's the 1st of January. I didn't really do anything last night. I couldn't really be bothered this year. I just sat with my family, well, my parents, and thought about how I'm going to improve this next year. And I've got a good feeling about this next year. I mean, I'm already getting better, a lot better. So fingers crossed it will carry on that way. Got a bit of a cold, like I've said, but apart from that, everything's fine. I've really lost my appetite again. I'm not eating very much, which is always a little bit concerning, because the thought of food makes me want to be sick. But I'm sure I'll get my appetite back, or it will come back soon enough. But yeah, so if you've got any questions about my interpretation there, then please do message me, because I know that I can confuse people with the way I explain things. Yeah, Happy New Year, and I hope everyone's well, and if you're not well, then hope you get better soon. Bye.